Ladies and gentlemen, please now rise. Remove your hats and caps for the national anthems of Canada and Israel. Bonne chance aux deux équipes et bon match. Best of luck to both.
Welcome back to Softball City on day number 5. It's Playoff Friday. What was a 12-team tournament after the first game with no shortage of drama and a big upset that saw the Philippines score 4 in the top of the 7th to erase a 3-0 deficit. Only 7 teams remain in the hunt for the 2024 Canada Cup title, and in this single elimination game, it features the surprising Saskatchewan 222s, a team that was added as the last team to round out the 12-team field against Team Israel, back for another Canada Cup with a lot of players who participated in the event 1 year ago. They went 3-2 during the course of the round robin, did Israel. The Saskatchewan 222s in what was a stiffer pool in terms of competition. And here is the lineup that Dean Holine and Donnie Atkinson will send to home plate, very similar to the one that we witnessed yesterday afternoon when they nearly pulled off a gigantic upset of the Australian national team. Robin Wampler gets the ball. Kat Montoya behind home plate. That will be the battery to begin the game. And our umpiring crew looks like this. Casey Coleman from the United States, Gregorio Carletti from Italy, Chris Hartley from Canada, and from Australia, it's Chrissy Travers. Israel, as I mentioned, with a record of 3-2. Their losses came to Canada by a score of 10-3 and 9-3 to Mexico. The Saskatchewan 222s losing to Australia, Czechia, and Triple Crown Colorado. They downed in what was somewhat surprising and really, I think, catapulted them to excellent play. Chinese Taipei, they downed Greece, and then the heartbreaker against Australia. They were 3 outs away, leading 2-1 going to the top of the 7th here yesterday afternoon. And once again, they send left fielder Abby McGlynn from nearby Langley, British Columbia, to face left-hander Robin Wampler, who's worked 10 innings so far at this 2024 Canada Cup. She's given up 8 runs on 10 hits, struck out 7 and walked 5. For McGlynn, she's 6 for 15 and fouls that well out of play. The Saskatchewan 222s comprised of players primarily who have gone through the twos program, a marvelous softball program out of Saskatoon run by the head coach of this team, Dean Holine, and Keith McIntosh. They have a great staff, and these young women have put on quite a show as McGlynn goes down swinging on the changeup from Robin Wampler. And one of their most exciting players is at home plate right now. It is shortstop Paige Simpson, who hails from Elnora, Alberta. She is also 6 for 15 in the event. And she has made some superb plays at shortstop. She's played the last 2 seasons at Idaho State University and takes a strike on the outside corner. So Czechia has been upset. The Philippines will move on. And 2 huge games still to come tonight. Those are the 1 versus 2 games in the crossover. Canada and Australia on the docket next, followed by 5-0 Triple Crown Colorado and Mexico, who finished second behind Canada in its pool. And those 4 teams who will play tonight are not in a single game elimination situation. They will have a second playoff life. These 2 teams, this is it. Simpson off the glove of shortstop Arizona Ritchie. She'll leg it out and be safe at second base as Paige Simpson has her 7th hit of the Canada Cup. As Arizona Ritchie, the fine shortstop of Israel, couldn't quite haul it in. And now it's impressive catcher Emily Sampson. Sampson, not a part of the twos program, but on the team in part because of her relationship with Jordy Chartrand. They played together for a couple of years at Central Arkansas University. She hails from Oklahoma, and she's had a marvelous Canada Cup. 8 for 17, 2 doubles, a home run, 7 runs batted in, was 2 for 4 yesterday against Australia. She's 5 for her last 7, and she plays with an unbridled passion and energy for this game. This is very evident from the first inning I watched her earlier this week. So she has fit in with this group beautifully. Paige Simpson in scoring position for Sampson, who has a good eye and takes inside. And Kat Montoya couldn't squeeze it, but not far enough away to allow Simpson to move up. Sampson just finished her 2nd year at Northeastern State, where she hit .274 with 4 home runs and 12 RBIs, and ouch, fouls that off her foot. And hope that Emily Sampson's going to be all right. She shakes it off and goes to chat with former national team pitcher and a great one in Dean Holine. He and his best buddy, Keith McIntosh, the brain trust of the twos program. If you are a young woman interested in getting better at the game of softball and you're looking to develop your skills, I can't think of a better program, certainly in Western Canada. And I know that they have just had a glorious time watching, really in many ways, the fruits of their labor. The 3-2 pitch, a changeup, missing down, and the Saskatchewan 222s in business against Israel in the top half of the first inning. And mentioned the relationship between Samson and Jordy Chartrand that started a couple of years ago, and here is Chartrand, pardon me. She's the designated player in the game. She's a product of Weyburn, Saskatchewan. In fact, she pitched a couple of innings for Team Canada at the 2022 Canada Cup. Did Jordy Chartrand. She's 6 for 14 in this year's event. A very good hitter. Doubled and has 2 runs batted in. I think the surprise story of this Canada Cup tournament is this Saskatchewan 222s team. And they're hoping to take yet another step and earn a spot in the final 6, which is what they would do with a win this afternoon. Well hit towards the gap, but Marin Berger, as the ball started to curl, as it tailed right back towards the left fielder, as Chartrand makes it out on the fly out to left field. Brings to the plate Saskatoon's own Kristen Daviduk. She drove in one of the 2 Saskatchewan runs yesterday in the loss, the heartbreaker to Australia. And Dean Holine with 2 outs in the inning and an opportunity to run the courtesy runner for his catcher with the last out in the inning, which is Chartrand. And now the head coach of Israel, who is Sarah Woofter, she wants to check on her lineup card herself. So Canada, Australia, in what will be the feature game. This place should have another great crowd, and there seems to be a bit of an issue with the lineup. Well, the umpires have been busy. They were very busy in the 7th inning with a couple of huge calls, one a huge review. And now there seems to be a lineup discrepancy. As Team Israel's head coach out asking. Well, we would have needed a microphone to know exactly what occurred there. But Kristen Daviduk will come to the plate. Two for 14, including that key hit and run batted in yesterday. She spent the last 3 years at nearby Simon Fraser University. This year she hit .243 at that school with 4 home runs and 23 runs batted in. And it is a steady diet of change-ups from Robin Wampler. We saw that in what only ended up being a third of an inning of work against Team Canada in a 10-3 loss here a couple of days ago. Daviduk takes a strike. That not the change. A rise in on the hands, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Simpson after the double at second. In the air and very playable. So the 222s from Saskatchewan, they threaten. But Robin Wampler able to get out of a mini jam. And Israel will come to bat in this single elimination playoff game when we return to Softball City.
Welcome to the 2024 Canada Cup, brought to you by the Canadian Amateur Sports Society. Our not-for-profit organization is dedicated to ensuring that every deserving child can fully enjoy multi-day sports camps without any limitations. Join us in making a difference. Sign up for these life-changing camps or become a sponsor today. Together, let's celebrate the unifying power of sport. Visit CanadaCup.com to learn more.
Well, the Saskatchewan 222s go with Emily Waters in this all-important single elimination playoff game. Emily is 20 years of age, and she is from Camrose, Alberta. Has thrown well in this event. Facing some elite competition and faces leadoff batter and the center fielder Ruby Salzman to start things in the bottom of the first for Israel. She's from Northridge, California, is Ruby Salzman, and an impressive 8 for 18 so far in the tournament. She has a hit in every game that she's played, all 5 of them. Pops it in the air, but it'll make it over the screen and out of play. Salzman is in her second consecutive Canada Cup for Israel. She was 9 for 30 in last year's tournament. So Israel out of a mini jam and a quality changeup from Emily Waters to get center fielder Ruby Salzman. And that always would settle you down in this big playoff game if you're the starting pitcher. What a performance the Saskatchewan 222s received from Madeline Hickingbottom yesterday. 6 terrific innings against Australia, and I wonder if we will see her today. In fact, as I take a peek, she might be warming up already. Arizona Ritchie. And the throw gets away from Avery Terpsma. Waters, by the way, has now thrown 12 2/3 here. She's given up 10 runs on 19 hits. Her longest outing was a win where she went 4 innings against Greece. She spent the last 2 seasons at the University of Buffalo. And a tough error for the youngsters as Ritchie is on the air to Avery Terpsma. And it looked to be fairly routine, but you know there's a lot of nerves in a game like this. The batter is the catcher, Kat Montoya, and she's had a quality week. Takes outside for a ball. Montoya is 4 for 6 with a double. She's homered 3 times and driven in 7. And what a game she had the other day against Hong Kong. 3 for 3 with 3 home runs and 6 runs batted in. That's a season for some. So 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Israel catcher. This is hit well to right. McKenna Simmons back. And it is gone. Kat Montoya has gone deep for a 4th time. As the ball got up in the wind, blowing out that way and carried enough to not allow McKenna Simmons to reach over and make the play. And Israel off to a 2-0 beginning. Home run number 4 for Montoya. Only Jess Oakland of Triple Crown, Colorado has more with 5. So Israel out of a jam and now have taken the lead. And stepping into the batter's box is first baseman Kennedy Buckman. And see if Waters can put that pitch behind her. Every little play makes a huge difference. We saw that in the game between Czechia and the Philippines, which was an amazing 7th inning, which would take me the whole game to run it down. So I won't, but it had all kinds of incredible happenings as the Philippines with a big upset to keep their Canada Cup hopes alive. Buckman is from New Prague, Minnesota, and hits this well past McKenna Simmons. The relay from Terpsma not in time. And Israel, who has shown against certain opponents this week, they can hit. In fact, they scored 3 times against Canada and led that game early 2-0 before Canada rallied and ended up winning at 10-3. But it really wasn't a 10-3 type of game. As Dean Holine comes out to try to settle his pitcher after she gave up the 2-run homer to Montoya and then the solidly hit shot to the gap off the bat of Buckman, who now has 2 doubles and 6 hits in this Canada Cup tournament. She was 3 for 20 in the 2023 version. Closed out her college career at Augustana University in 2023, batting .342 with 20 home runs there and 62 runs batted in. So she has some power. And the designated player, we saw her pitch against Canada, is Patience Holman. Her first year here. She is from Mexico, Missouri, and a product of Southeast Missouri State. Patience is 2 for 8 in the tournament, and when she has a hit, they matter. She has 4 runs batted in. So the 222s who threatened themselves did not score in the top of the first, trying to limit the damage in the bottom. This has the potential to be a high-scoring game. Felt that way before it began. We'll see how it plays itself out. The 3-1 pitch is hit foul into the screen. Israel, a very short roster, down to 10 or 11 players after an injury. And they didn't come here with many to begin with. But performing admirably and off to a good start in this playoff game. They put up a record of 4-5 at last year's Canada Cup. They were tied for 5th, and the base hit getting the wave is Buckman. The throw is up the line, and it's 3-0. And the throw at second is in time to get Holman with a second out, and an important one if they're the 222s. So an RBI single that Patience Holman tried to turn into a little more than what was required. Is Amanda Licht, who's had a quality tournament at home plate as well. Certainly against Canada when she was 2 for 3 with a run batted in. 2 of her 3 hits came in that game. She's from Greenwood Village, Colorado. was committed to the University of Wisconsin, but did not play, not in my research, this year. Change up from Waters is pulled foul. And there is activity down the line as Israel has scored 3 times already here in the bottom of the first inning. Lick takes high on the rise ball and out of the zone. She was a star at both Kent Denver High School and Cherry Creek, a 3-time All-Centennial League high school player, also All-State in basketball and track and field. So Amanda is a great athlete. Looking to restart things after what's been a great bottom of the first is Emily Waters. And everything seemed to change after the error. It looked like she had 2 pretty easy outs to begin, and then the hit parade started, and now the first walk of the game is issued, and here's third baseman Maddie Lewis. Three hits and 3 runs. And the 222s trying to get into their own dugout on another beautiful day in Surrey at Softball City. Ball and a strike to Maddie Lewis, who was here last year as well. In on her hands, tough pitch to hit, and she fouled it off. Maddie's from Alameda, California. Played collegiately in a career that ended in 2019 at the University UC San Diego. And Maddie's still looking for her first Canada Cup hit. She's 0 for 11 after going 6 for 17 in 2023. And this will not be her first hit. It is the end of the inning as Grace Paulin makes the catch on the pop-up over at first base. Israel set. Pitcher Robin Wampler did give up a hit in the first inning. Saskatchewan 222 stranded a couple of runners, in fact, before Wampler got out of a mini jam, and then she and her teammates gave her some help. Put up a 3 spot. Robin's an interesting story. She had a really good college career. She's played in a number of events now for Israel, including the 2022 European Championship and 2021. She attended UC San Diego herself, where she went 68 and 34. What does she do for a living? Well, besides play this sport, which she doesn't play for a living, she works for the Kansas City Royals as an analyst in research development. At least that was her job at this time last year. So an interesting job where she is all ball all the time, whether it's on the field or off the field. Avery Terpsma, the second baseman, leads things off for the Saskatchewan 222s. And Avery, unfortunately for the Saskatchewan team, committed an error that helped the 3-run inning. See if she can respond with a good at-bat. And has one is the big bounce off the left shoulder of Maddie Lewis. So a base hit for Terpsma. And the 222s with the leadoff batter aboard. It's a very warm day. And it always dries out a great surface when it is hot. So a big bounce. And they've done a great job, and they do an amazing job here with the fields, all 4 of them. Raven Millions, the center fielder from Beanfate, Saskatchewan, just outside of Estevan, pops up the bunt. And diving back in safely is Terpsma. As Donnie Atkinson had her come back in a hurry after the failed bunt attempt, as Raven Millions popped that into the air for the first out. Grace Paulin is from Wilcox, Saskatchewan. That's the home of Notre Dame College. Played the last 3 years at Oklahoma City University. And a strike from Wampler on the outside corner. Dean Holine going through the signs over at third. 1 out. Terpsma with good speed on the base pass. And Paulin a little behind on that swing. She's 1 for 4 in the tournament. Her hit came in the 5-3 loss the other night against Czechia. Czechia bounced today. A stunner. They give up 4 runs in the top of the 7th and lose to the Philippines. So their tournament is over. And they actually, talking about Czechia, loaded the bases with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th and couldn't bring home the tying run. Paulin, a good twist on that swing. A ball and 2 strikes to Grace Paulin. Batted .278 at Oklahoma City University this year. And would love a hit right now. Long way to go. You don't have to get all 3 back right away. But Israel is a team comprised of American citizens with heritage. There is no one from Israel on the team. And a changeup and a beauty from Wampler that sits down Paulin. The second strikeout of the game for Robin. And McKenna Simmons has been busy in right field. She's from Moose Jaw. 3 for 13 in the tournament, 2 runs batted in. Both of those in the game against Czechia. It was 0 for 3 in the game yesterday against Australia. Big hop. Kennedy Buckman steps on first. And Israel off to a great start in this single elimination playoff game. They continue to lead by 3. Pitcher Robin Wampler leads it off for Israel with a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning. Is Israel off to a quality beginning with a 3 spot in their first at-bat. If you're Emily Waters and the Saskatchewan 222s, this already feels like a critical half inning defensively. The changeup hit down the line, and it's fair. Everything right now going Israel's way. And Wampler has her first hit of the Canada Cup. She's now 1 for 4. And I think Dean Holine is potentially going to make a change here. He is. Wants the ball. And back comes yesterday's pitching star in Madeline Hickingbottom, the product of Georgetown, Ontario. She was fabulous. 6 innings against Australia, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. Lifted after a hit in the 7th for Jordy Chartrand, but a day that this young woman probably will never forget. She's thrown 10 2/3 innings at the tournament, 9 runs, 12 hits, struck out 5. She was an impressive 17-7 at Niagara University. This college season, she pitched a lot, 185 innings, struck out 188 batters, and called on again today in hopes of a repeat type of performance. She was very, very impressive. Played 1 year at the University of Buffalo, in fact 2. Also helped Canada win a bronze medal at the 2019 U19 World Cup in Irvine, California, and was 3-0 for Canada in that tournament. In fact, she had a save in the bronze medal game win over Australia. And someone potentially vying to be noticed for further, I would think, Canadian duty. Yesterday didn't hurt her cause, and she gets an early pop-up that Sampson looks after. As Mandy Schwartz pops up to the catcher, and that'll give Hickingbottom some confidence to be sure. Ruby Salzman struck out versus Emily Waters in the bottom half of the first. Salzman from Northridge, California. She attended West Texas A&M and drills this right at center fielder Raven Millions. Can't hit it much harder, but Millions in a great spot. And it was beneficial yesterday, too, against Australia. There were a lot of pretty well hit balls off Hickingbottom that were right at people, or some quality plays were made in the outfield. So you have the opportunity to run for your catcher and pitcher with 2 outs, and that's what they'll do for Robin Wampler, who will take a bit of a breather, probably have a drink of water, and get set for her next inning in the circle. So a hard line out to center, and now it's Arizona Ritchie, who reached on an error and then scored on a 2-run home run off the bat of the next hitter, catcher Kat Montoya. As Hickingbottom comes in and retires the first 2 batters that she's faced. On a warm Friday afternoon, the start of the Canada Cup playoffs began in earnest a few hours ago. 2 games left on the slate today, The big one is Canada and Australia. Both teams, after this tournament is over, will jump on airplanes and go to Italy. Ritchie, with the runner in motion, hits it right at Terpsma. Hickingbottom, in relief, retires the first three that she's faced. And now hoping her mates can provide a little offense. They trail by 3. Plenty of smiles on this great Friday at this fantastic facility, Softball City, where we expect another big crowd for Canada and Australia in the first of 2 1-versus-2 playoff games. The top 2 finishers in each pool after the round robin was completed yesterday have 2 playoff lives, not 1 like the 2 teams who are participating in this game right now. And Robin Wampler and Team Israel in the driver's seat, facing the top of the order in Abby McGlynn, who struck out on a changeup back in the top of the first. The 222s have a couple of hits, left 2 runners in the first inning. Wampler certainly not a hard thrower. It's all about mixing, changing speeds, location, pretty good spin, but only 55. Certainly, according to our radar, which, because of, I'm not even sure what the proper word was, but I can tell you that our first radar gun was broken. Diving work by Schwartz, but McGlynn is too fast going down the line. Still, a great stop by second baseman Mandy Schwartz. And Abby McGlynn has hit number 7 of the Canada Cup in 17 official at-bats. Shortstop Paige Simpson. She lays down a bunt. There's down 3, Dean Holine, and Downey Atkinson would like to get on the board. So Simpson lays down the sacrifice bunt. And Emily Sampson, who's been arguably their most dangerous hitter this week, comes to the plate and takes high for ball 1. From Tahlequah, Oklahoma. She walked back in the first. Just gets underneath it. Backpedaling is Arizona Ritchie, and she handles it a couple of steps back onto the grass. And here's designated player Jordy Chartrand. She flew out to Marin Berger in left. Lefty versus lefty. Not as big a scenario, I don't think, in this sport as it is in baseball, but still something different to look at. as a batter. Chartrand, pop up, Wampler in time. Robin Wampler is in a groove. Great news for Israel, not so much for the young Saskatchewan 222s. A big reason that Israel leads this playoff encounter steps into the batter's box. Her name is Kat Montoya, and she delivered a 2-run home run as part of a 3-run first inning for Israel. Is this game rolling along? Madeline Hickingbottom in her second inning of relief, taking over from the starter, Emily Waters. Montoya already with a 3-home run game in the event. If you're the 222s, you hope it's her last. She now has 4 in the tournament and takes a changeup from Madeline Hickingbottom for a strike in the outside corner. Israel, a scrappy team. Great changeup. In on the hands and down. And Hickingbottom has her first strikeout since coming into the game. Fell right off the table to get Montoya. And now deals with first baseman Kennedy Buckman, who drilled one to a gap in right center that eluded the right fielder McKenna Simmons. She would come in to score on a Patience Holman single. So the 222s led right now by Madeline Hickingbottom, looking to get into a groove. And then turn up the heat on the bats. Buckman, back goes Simpson. In comes left fielder Abby McGlynn to make the play. Good communication between Paige Simpson at shortstop and McGlynn to call her off. Paige Simpson at short, she covers a lot of ground. Two down, bottom of the third, as the ball gets away from catcher Emily Sampson. Patience Holman singled, drove in a run in the first, and then was nabbed trying to turn it into a little bit more. Caught at second base. In on the hands. Hickingbottom looks pretty comfortable again. Quick inning. And back to home plate for the 222s, who need more than 2. They trail by 3. Robin Wampler has given up 3 hits but no runs. Facing third baseman, the number 5 hitter in the Saskatchewan 222's lineup, Kristen Daviduk. She popped up to second baseman Mandy Schwartz in her first at-bat of the game. Officially now 2 for 15 in the tournament. She played for Team Saskatchewan at the 2022 Canada Summer Games in Niagara. And fouls this back to the screen. Her biggest hit of the tournament gave Saskatchewan a 2-0 lead early over Australia. And Australia, in the first of 2 1-versus-2 playoff games against Canada, then it's Mexico and Triple Crown Colorado. And both of those have the potential to be terrific games. Be interesting to see who Canadian head coach Kaylee Rafter opts to pitch. And as we discuss that further in the next game, because of the upcoming World Cup, and there will be an opportunity to play Australia, do you maybe not throw a pitcher that would pitch against Australia in 10 days' time? We'll wait and see. Long foul out, or not out, but foul away by Daviduk. And there's Robin Wampler's best changeup. It almost stops on the way to home plate. That's what it looks like from this vantage point. Like it will never get there. But it does, and for strike 3. As she sits down, 222's batter, Kristen Daviduk. Avery Terpsma, she singled. High pop-up, no trouble for Mandy Schwartz, and there's 2 away. So Wampler cruising. Center fielder Raven Millions. Raven on her way to Minot State University. Played this past year at Spoon River College in Canton, Illinois, where she hit .403 and had a quality cut at that pitch from Wampler. And now are you going to deal with that nasty changeup again and potentially out of the strike zone? That change can be so good even when you know it's coming. It's still too much. Not the change. Upstairs with her eyes. Robin Wampler starting to mow down these young Saskatchewan hitters. Another 1-2-3 inning. So we go to the bottom of the 4th in this single elimination playoff game on the first day of the playoffs at the Canada Cup. Israel scored 3 in the bottom half of the first, and that continues to be the advantage as they set to bat in the bottom of the 4th inning. Earlier today, as we showed you, quite a comeback by Underdog Philippines trailing Czechia 3-0 going to the top of the 7th. Veronika Pekova, one of the hardest throwers here, sailing along at 13 strikeouts, giving up 1 hit. And the coach made a pitching change. And this game's always easy in hindsight. Brought in Adela Linkova. She struggled and gave up a 3-run home run as Amanda Licht ripped it foul down the left field line. In that Czechia-Philippines game, catcher Victoria Magbanwa, in her 3rd at-bat of the tournament, hit a home run to center field that bounced off the yellow part of the fence and left. Then Czechia brought Pekova back in. She struggled. The catcher struggled. And Philippines found themselves in a bases-loaded, no-one-out situation, and Czechia couldn't score. So Philippines moves on and will play tomorrow. Maddie Lewis pops up a bunt after the strikeout by Hickenbottom of Amanda Licht. And there's 2 away.
Also, you want set pitcher number 27, Robin Waltler.
Don't even have time to finish a story as quickly as some of these half innings are starting to fly by. Wampler singled down the right field line. The bloop stayed fair. Wampler with a strike. Hickenbottom has come in and done a terrific job so far in place of the starter, Emily Waters, who gave up all 3 first-inning runs. She was replaced after the Wampler hit to start the bottom of the 2nd. And has retired the first 8 batters she's faced. And comes upstairs in on the hands of Robin Wampler, the opposing pitcher. So Hickenbottom again for a 2nd straight day, giving the 222s all they could hope for. Gets away from Emily Sampson at home plate. And she's displayed a quality changeup in her own right in the last couple of days. A ball and 2 strikes to Wampler. On the ground to Simpson. The sure-handed shortstop gets the job done again. Another 1-2-3 for Hickenbottom and Saskatchewan 222s. But they need to start a hit parade. It's been difficult against Robin Wampler. The Saskatchewan 222s trying to solve Robin Wampler. They do have 3 hits off the left-hander. They haven't been able to string them together. Hit in the first, a double by Simpson. Terpsma with a base hit in the second, and a base hit from McGlynn, but they haven't been able to put a couple of back-to-back hits together, which is what you really need if you're about to start a rally of any kind of significance. As Grace Pollan fouls it off. Playing at first base in this game today. And I do wonder, emotionally, how draining as Pollan gets hit in the left shoulder. Yesterday's heartbreaking loss to Australia might have been on these youngsters. Led 2-0, carried a 2-1 lead into the top of the seventh against one of the best teams on the planet, only to give up 4 runs in the top of the seventh as under the great guidance of Lang Harrow, McKenna Simmons, the bunt, close play over at first on the sacrifice, but the out is recorded as Wampler fielded her position well. Never easy for a left-hander to have to turn, spin, be balanced, and then make the throw. So Dean Holine continues to feel like the first run is critical enough to give up an out for. So a runner in scoring position for the second straight inning. In fact, they've all but the second inning had a runner in scoring position, but haven't been able to cash in. See if Abby McGlynn can. The Langley product struck out and has singled today. Pollan is at second with 1 out. And now Patience Holman starting to work for Israel, and McGlynn had a quality whack at that pitch. McGlynn hit .292 this year at Simon Fraser University. Had 6 home runs. Change up. Again, stays fair. And thus, another out. As Kennedy Buckman fields out number 2. It does move the runner to third, and Paige Simpson double off the glove into short left field that she turned into a double, and then she was asked to sacrifice in the third. It will not be the case here as Paige goes in search of a run batted in. And Wampler has worked quickly and ahead in the count most of the afternoon. Effective and efficient. And Simpson actually got a really good pitch to hit at no balls and 2 strikes. Which, if you've ever coached this sport, when your pitcher leaves one there, can drive you a little bananas. Most coaches are not fans of 0-2 base hits. 1 and 2 after the rise, missed up to Simpson. Saskatchewan 222s looking for a spark from Paige Simpson and won't get it here. Montoya and Wampler working very well together. Saskatchewan leaves another runner in scoring position and continue to trail, heading to the bottom of the 5th by 3.
Welcome to the 2024 Canada Cup, brought to you by the Canadian Amateur Sports Society. Our not-for-profit organization is dedicated to ensuring that every deserving child can fully enjoy multi-day sports camps without any limitations. Join us in making a difference. Sign up for these life-changing camps or become a sponsor today. Together, let's celebrate the unifying power of sport. Visit CanadaCup.com to learn.
Madeline Hickingbottom, been terrific again as she was yesterday afternoon against Australia. In her 3 innings of relief, yet to surrender a hit. Struck out 2 and walked no one. And a quality changeup on second baseman Mandy Schwartz after popping out is now 3 for 13, and this her first Canada Cup. Another changeup past head coach Sarah Wifter in the third base coaching box. Hickingbottom has retired all 7 batters that she's faced. Or, in fact, all 9 that she has faced. And working ahead on Mandy Schwartz. The hits are 4-3. But a 2-run homer from Kat Montoya, her 4th of the Canada Cup. And then an RBI single from Patience Holman a couple of batters later after Kennedy Buckman had delivered a double. And it has stayed that way with very little activity, especially for Israel since. The 222s have been in a pattern where they'll get a batter on, even move them into scoring position, but can't find a hit today when they need one. And it almost feels like if they could ever put 2 hits together in a row that this game could change. But Robin Wampler, who's given up 3 hits and struck out 5, has other ideas. Hickingbottom, rise ball, and a strikeout. She has 3 in the game and has sat down 10 in a row. Now dealing with center fielder Ruby Salzman. Lined out and hit a drive right at Raven Millions in center. On the ground to Simpson. 2 down. Paige Simpson, I love watching her make plays at shortstop. Great hands, good arm, excellent range. And here's another player with some good range in Arizona Ritchie, who thought about dropping down a bunt and instead takes strike 1. Madeline Hickingbottom continues to open eyes here at this Canada Cup. Change up, Daviduke. Throw a little bit off the line, but Grace Pullen looks after her teammate. Another 1-2-3 inning for Madeline Hickingbottom. To the 6th inning we go, with Israel still leading by 3. Well, the game flying by, which is great news for one team. Israel, they lead it 3-0, all the damage in the first. Relief pitcher Madeline Hickingbottom is retired 12 in a row that she's faced since coming into the game. But now she needs a little help offensively. Emily Sampson, the catcher, trying to provide it off Robin Wampler, who has found her way out of any type of trouble. Change up and misses. 2 balls and a strike to Oklahoma product Emily Sampson. 2 years at Central Arkansas and then 2 at Northeastern State. Waited on the change, and this time she's robbed by Maddie Lewis. Wonderful work at the hot corner by number 3 of Israel. Sampson kept her hands back, drove through it, and Lewis with a fine play. Jordy Chartrand, the big swing, but a foul back. Canada and Australia in a very big matchup. 2 teams on their way to the World Cup, the World Championship of women's softball in Italy. Canada 5-0. Australia's lone loss at the hands of Triple Crown Colorado, who will play Mexico in the nightcap in a game slated for 8:30. 2 dandies on the way. Chartrand, base hit. The Weyburn product, Jordy Chartrand, takes the rise ball up the middle. And this has been the story of the day. Saskatchewan with a hit has not been able to put them together. Christian Daviduk trying to change that, and she will. First time the 222s have had back-to-back hits, and they do it here in the 6th. Off of Robin Wampler as Daviduk drills it into right center field. And the 222s with their best threat of this game. Runners at the corners for Avery Terpsma. Avery has 2 hits. The pride of Beaumont, Alberta. Almost what you would call a suburb of Edmonton, to the south of Edmonton on the highway towards Calgary. Those 2 hits were home runs. And we've already seen what can happen late in the game with one team that looked to be in complete control at 3-0. It happened in our first playoff game when Philippines scored 4 in the top of the 7th to come from behind against Czechia. Do we have another big comeback in store? Terpsma should be deep enough to score the run. The throw home up the line, and it is a sacrifice fly and a run batted in for Terpsma as the 222s are on the board. So that should give them a little bit of a spark. As Jordy Chartrand comes in to score from third. There's the nasty one. And Raven Millions fails to stay off of it. And it's so hard when it's that good. And it comes right back again, just up in the zone a little bit more. So Saskatchewan has broken through with their first run, but still plenty of work to be done and only 4 outs left to do it with. And now 3. That combo, the change and the rise. They do put a couple of hits together. And Saskatchewan crawls back a little. They trail by 2. U22s, they've been a surprise story in a very positive way. They were added late to the tournament field. The final team put together by the gentleman who own the Twos softball development program out of Saskatoon and coach a number of age group traveling teams as part of it. And Dean Holine and Keith McIntosh with Donnie Atkinson. And they have more than acquitted themselves well, in many people's eyes, potentially the number 12 seed. It hasn't worked that way. They won a couple of games. They beat Greece. They beat Chinese Taipei. They gave the Australian national team an absolute headache yesterday afternoon. And Madeline Hickingbottom yet to give up even a single hit, but finds herself behind an account to the woman who has supplied the biggest blow, a 2-run homer in inning number 1 off 222 starter Emily Waters. 2 more hits following made it 3-0. And that's been it for Israel. First base runner allowed by Madeline Hickingbottom from Georgetown, Ontario, product of the University of Niagara. And the 222s not in a position to give up a run here. Going to be difficult enough. Buckman hit it well, but McGlynn ranges over to make the play in left center. Hard hit ball by Buckman, who's hit it hard all day, including her double to right center that went to the fence back in the first. So a line out to left for out number 1. And Patience Holman, who has an RBI single today, takes a rise up for ball 1. One of the pitchers, as well as Patience Holman, could get the call if Israel is able to hold on in their next playoff game, which my understanding, by looking at the bracket, would be against the loser of tonight's game coming up next between Canada and Australia. That's what's next. The feature game of the day. 5-0 Canada versus 4-1 Australia. The Spirit, that's what they're known as, their national team, both on their way to the World Cup. And for a second time in 3 batters, Hickingbottom falls behind 3-0, this time to Holman, and responds with what I thought might have been a strike, but not the case. Pitch was up again. So somewhat like yesterday against Australia, things went great until the 7th. Today, things as good as it could get for Madeline until the 6th. And she requires a hold. And wonder if the arm's getting a little tight. Lots of work in the last 2 days. 6 innings yesterday. Working her 5th inning this afternoon. And there's a pitch that just missed to Amanda Licht, the right fielder who has walked and struck out against Hickingbottom. Terpsma over to make the play. And an important out for the 222s. Maddie Lewis, who made a fine defensive play to take a hit from Emily Sampson in the last defensive half inning. It's had a tough tournament at home plate. You know she'd love to provide a little insurance with her first one of the tournament in this scenario. Runner in scoring position. It's Hickingbottom with a curve action that works from right to left. Down with a drop that time. 2 balls and a strike to Maddie Lewis. Israel with 3 in the first. The Saskatchewan 222s finally on the board. They've actually out-hit Israel 5-4. And another deep count, and there have not been very many since she came in the game for Hickingbottom. Lewis off the fence. 1 run scores. 4-1. And that might seal the deal. The first hit given up in relief by Madeline Hickingbottom. And it just happens to be the first hit of the Canada Cup for Maddie Lewis. And it's an important one. An RBI double for Lewis. And the difference is 3. And the benefactor is at home plate. Pitcher Robin Wampler. So Israel could not have been more opportunistic with her hits. 5 hits, 4 runs. 2 doubles and a 2-run homer included in the mix. A crusher for the 222s, who will be able to leave Softball City feeling great. Davidouk knocked it down and recovered in the nick of time. Wampler hit it hard. Maddie Lewis. I don't know if she's got Geico, but that double to the wall provides a big insurance run in this single elimination playoff game. pitcher in Patience Holman after 6 quality innings. 1 run, 5 hits, provided by Robin Wampler. And a pinch hitter in place of Grace Paulin. This is number 34, Taylor Farrer from Bonnyville, Alberta, 1 for 5 in the tournament. Two balls and no strikes. A massive double to the fence in left center answered the Saskatchewan 222's run in the bottom of the 6th, and it's a 3-run difference again. As Patience Holman comes in and has trouble finding the strike zone. We saw one incredible comeback earlier today by the Philippines. Might there be another one? It seems inconceivable, but it has to start somewhere. You need base runners. And the Saskatchewan 222s have one in Taylor Farrer. Grace Paulin will come back in to run. She has good speed. Is Patience Holman. And the other similarity to what happened in the Czechia game is they removed their pitcher going to the top of the 7th with a 3-run lead. It can't happen again, can it? Here's right fielder McKenna Simmons. And Patience Holman might be running out of it. She's thrown 5 consecutive balls to enter the game. There's a strike. She's pitched 10 innings in this Canada Cup, a record of 1-0, giving up 5 runs on 10 hits. Simmons, Arizona Richie gives chase and makes the play for out number 1. And that will certainly settle Patience Holman down, who went 16-10 at Southeast Missouri State during the NCAA season. Top of the order and left fielder Abby McGlynn. Holman certainly throws, I think, with a little more velocity than what Wampler featured. Neither are real hard throwers. But that is effective. No balls, 2 strikes to Abby McGlynn. And Holman wanted the pitch just outside, and so did catcher Kat Montoya. A ball and 2 strikes to McGlynn. 222s who have been terrific all week. What a great addition to this international tournament. McGlynn hit it hard, but it'll be foul. What an experience playing against this type of competition. And remember, Saskatchewan in a pool with Triple Crown, Colorado, a stellar U.S. college all-star team. Played Czechia, played the Australian national team. As Montoya digs one out of the dirt to keep Grace Paulin at first. That run doesn't matter very much. The batter matters a lot. McGlynn at Schwartz, shovels. Not in time to turn the double play by Arizona Ritchie. But when you're up by 3, the most important thing defensively is getting outs. And they just achieved exactly that. So, outstanding young shortstop Paige Simpson looks to keep it alive, and the changeup from Holman is a strike. I can't wait to continue to watch this young player continue to develop. From Elnora, Alberta. Past couple of years at Idaho State. Very bright future. Certainly have really enjoyed the work, not only offensively, but especially defensively. She has a double in this game, 7 hits in the tournament, 7 for 16. Has a hit in 5 of the 6 games she's played in. You just trust her when the ball is hit her way. Range as well, throw as well. Excellent hands. The fun part in many ways of this event is to watch young players on the way up trying to vie for, if you will, not just bigger, but different opportunities. In this sport, the mecca really is to play for your country. Play in college in a lot of ways and play for your country. And Simpson drops down a 2-out bunt, and she beats it out. You've got to have a little chutzpah with your tournament on the line and a couple of strikes to do what Paige Simpson just did. That's a confident athlete who believes in her ability. Her second hit. And this is the exact player you'd want at home plate, more than capable of tying the game with one swing, in catcher Emily Sampson. All you wanted was to bring the tying run to home plate. We saw it once today when Victoria McBonwa tied it with a 3-run homer in the 7th against Czechia. That is a grade A changeup from Patience Holman. Sampson has homered and driven in 7 runs in the tournament. She and her team with 2 on and 2 out down to their last strike. And she hit it hard. And I'm guessing the changeup's coming again. To Emily Sampson. And it did come, but it's out of the zone for ball 1. 2 balls and a strike to Sampson with her team down 4-1. She is the tying run at home plate. And catcher Kat Montoya wants to go out, make sure that they're on the same page with the signs. And you can't just go out and do this at your own free will. You have one of these, and then you're forced to make a change. It is now or never if you're the Saskatchewan 222s. Arizona Richie and Israel will move on into the final 6. As Robin Wampler and Patience Holman combine on a 6-hit performance against them. Israel opportunistic. Saskatchewan had chances but could only cash in one time. But to Dean Holine, Donnie Atkinson, it was just awesome to have him in the booth a couple of times this week. I've known these gentlemen, especially Dean and Keith McIntosh, for a long, long time. They have done so much for this sport, continue to do so with Donnie and others running that development program in Saskatoon. And boy, they must be so proud of this team that they put together really last minute as the organizing committee was in search of a 12th team to round out the field. Won 2 games, made the playoffs, almost upset Australia yesterday. We're 3 outs away from doing that. But Israel opportunistic. Went 3-2 in the round robin, and they and the Philippines have won as our championship contenders fall from 12 teams originally to 8 playoff teams down to 6. Congratulations to the 222s. 2 massive matchups upcoming. The 1 versus 2 playoff games. Canada, Australia in the game of the day, and probably in the neighborhood of an hour from now, I would guess, when it starts with the first pitch. Prior to that, we'll have a amazing pride ceremony. Such an important part of this sport. Pride night here at Softball City. Well, Philippines with a 7th inning that I'll not forget for any time soon. 222s fall to Israel, and here's what's on tap. Australia, Canada, Mexico, Triple Crown, Colorado. Need to rest the pipes a little. We'll be back when Canada and Australia begins. Bye for now.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com. Live it on softball.